All right. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 140. Oh, I'm not in shot.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should bring your camera down a little bit. Like
Welcome,
half your
welcome back,
face is in the screen.
everybody. Oh, I love these episodes, man.
I kind of wish you didn't
Um,
notice. That would have been
th-
funny.
this is why we need like a producer to like check in on us and be like, "Hey, man, stop being dumb."
We have
Um,
Grace. Grace will be our producer.
yeah, Grace was laughing at me. That's okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. It is episode 141. We are, by the time you're hearing this, 4 days away from kickoff of the 2023 MLS season, which means one thing and one thing only. It's prediction time, baby. We have gathered all the data. We've gathered all of the information. We've taken a very long look at it. So get your futures bets in because what you're about to hear is exactly what's going to happen, plus Connor's take on it. So listen carefully to what I say, completely ignore everything Connor says, and you will win a lot of money. For legal reasons,
Can you
that's not
pause?
actually. We're going through
Are you able
standings
to pause?
predictions.
Are you able to
Huh?
pause?
Want to
Can you
pause it?
pause?
All right, so we are going through this episode. We're talking standings predictions, East and West. We're talking awards predictions, MVP, goalkeeper of the year, comeback player of the year, coach of the year, anything along those lines. Um, Last year we made up a couple of awards, but I don't think we're going to do those this year because they didn't go super well. And then we'll do some bold predictions as well. We'll tell you three things that we think are definitely, most certainly, probably, maybe going to happen. But before we do all of
Well,
them, of course.
according to you, only yours will.
Well, correct, but um, before we do any of that, of course, we dive into Scarf for the week, and we always start with my friend Connor. Connor, what do you got? How you doing?
I'm doing just as good as I was doing in the last episode.
Don't break the
My
fourth
scarf,
wall. They don't know that we're recording back to
I
back.
already broke it. I broke it like what, 2 episodes ago? Anyway, my scarf. See if you can figure it out. It's kind of obvious.
It's Orlando, but it's upside down. I thought.
It is Orlando. I really like the scarf as much as I don't like Orlando. I think it's upside down too,
I
but
just
that's
said
okay.
yeah, it's upside down. That's okay.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
Maybe it's a spoiler alert. I don't know.
I almost brought out an Orlando scarf, but while we're talking about Orlando scarves, at this moment, while you're listening to this, we are doing a giveaway, and you will edit this out if we're not, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to do it where, um, because Red Bull kick off against Orlando to start the season. If Orlando wins, I will pick one person who is following our Twitter as well as interacted with the tweet that we sent out. And that person, if Orlando wins, which they won't, but if they do, will be sent an Orlando scarf from the scarf wall. So
Ooh, from
make
the
sure you're
scarf wall. Wow.
from the scarf wall. It's right. It's this one right here. You'll get that one. That's my wager on Red Bull. I don't actually wager much. I don't bet ever, but this is what I'm betting on Red Bull. So go on, find our Twitter, follow us, interact with us, and go get yourself a scarf if you think you're feeling lucky. But I've actually got the scarf from the team that's going to win that game. One of many. It's the first ever scarf I've ever owned. We always do this before every season. That last episode before the season starts always is the original, the OG, the number one. I love this scarf more than I love a lot of things in life. So yeah. Um. Alrighty. So let's start with the West. We always start East to West. It's so boring. Let's start with the West. Read yours to me 14-1. And what we'll do, and the way we did this last year and the way we'll do it this year and for many years to come, if there's any major differences, like off by two or more spots, we'll talk. And we'll
Oh, I'm sure
have
we'll
some.
have some. I'm sure.
I'm sure
I'd
we
like
will
to
too.
start off with a quick note here before I jump into my standings. To whoever is listening to this, I would like you to know that yes, I found out who your favorite team is, and yes, I purposely put them at the bottom of my standings just so I can piss you off. So when you're writing up that comment talking about how stupid I am and how wrong my opinion is, just know that it was all purposeful from me. And with
I
that
love
being
it.
said, I would like to start with Houston at 14.
Oh
I've
my
got
God.
St. Louis at 13, Vancouver at 12, Minnesota at 11, Galaxy at 10, RSL at 9, SKC at 8, Rapids at 7, San Jose at 6, Seattle at 5, Dallas at 4, Portland at 3, LAFC at 2, and Austin FC winning the Western Conference.
I almost threw up. I'm not gonna lie. I almost threw up. Um, wow.
Starting off with a bang.
Total disrespect. Um,
Why? Because it differs from your opinion?
correct. And I told you mine is right. So, all right. So, this is how I think it's going to happen. Vancouver at the bottom, St. Louis at 13, Minnesota at 12, San Jose at 11, Colorado at 10, Houston at 9, RSL at 8, Portland at 7, SKC at 6, Seattle at 5, Galaxy at 4, FC Dallas at 3, LAFC at 2, and Austin winning the West at 1. So to start, where in the world did Houston at the bottom come from?
What do you mean, where in the world did Houston at the bottom come from?
Why?
Let me pull up the chart that I made. So this is a team that rotated out a lot of the guys that played last year, and I know that they didn't play well last year. That's I think a good move from them to move on and try again. But still, that means that there's going to be a lot of new faces in this team potentially. Now that I say that, I look at it again. There's not a ton in the starting 11, but I think they rotated out a lot of guys that got minutes for them last year. And a team that finished 13th in the West last year, and I don't think their offseason was like enough to jump them up. I think they added a few good players. I like the additions of Artur and like Franco Escobar, but I don't think additions like that are taking this team into the playoff hunt. I don't even think it's moving them up any places. I still think they have a couple good players to build around. I really like Teenage Adebe. I like Sebastian Ferreira. Ivan Franco was another potentially good signing. Hector Herrera as well on the team, but I see a lot of question marks, and I still, unless they added people since we did the depth chart last time, there's a couple positions that are kind of a little thin as well. So I'm not on board the Houston hype train. I apologize. Somebody has to finish last, and it just so happened that, in my opinion, it was Houston this year.
I've got them at 9 because of the improvements they made. They improved at the I don't think they improved, but they kept the quality at the left wing spot. They combined Franco and Ferreira from their days in Argentina. They improved at the 10 spot. They improved at the 6 spot. They improved at the right back and the left back spot. Their center backs are still strong. Could they get deeper there? Sure. Could they get deeper at right wing? Sure. I think it's likely you see maybe a 4-3-1-2, like we were talking about last episode with Inter Miami, where Franco turns into more of a second striker. But I don't see this team finishing bottom of the West. I think that's a stretch.
I don't know how you saw their offseason as something that jumps them up 4 spots in the West. But teach their own.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think that the additions of Escobar and Smith give them better options out wide. They could change it to a different shape and play Escobar as a center back, and which is where I think it might go to solidify things there. I think Archer is a great addition. Herrera, Carrasquilla are going to be fine. I think Bossi has a good year playing as the 10, feeding. We talked about it when we did our deep dive on them. They haven't had a true ball playing number 10 since Tomas Martinez, and that was the last time they made the playoffs. They finally brought it back. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs this year, but they're not going to be bottom of the West. We agreed on St. Louis. That was great. Vancouver, I think they're low. They're close enough where we don't need to really talk about them. I think we both agree they're not going to have a great year. They did just sign a goalkeeper, the Japanese goalkeeper Takoka, or
Yeah, the
Takaoka,
one that
excuse
you're
me.
very
The one
against
I'm
because he's short like you.
I'm not thrilled. No, I'm not thrilled because he's short. I'm not thrilled because they're hailing him as a ball playing goalkeeper, very good with his feet. You need to have good players around him to make that a desirable quality, right? I don't see this team as being a play out of the back, tiki taka through the lines team. I just don't.
Oh, I would love it. I would love to see that.
Now, so would I, by the way, but I just don't see it. That's all I'm saying. Um, Minnesota, we had 12-11. That's fine. San Jose at 6. Talk to me. You
I
first of
am
all,
on
San
board.
Jose at 6. You came back to me, or no, that was Vancouver. But either
That was
San Jose at
Vancouver.
6. You talked about how this wasn't a great window for you. I
Yes,
talked about
that
how
was
it wasn't a
also
great window for me.
that was before they signed Griezo and before they signed Mensa. So I
And
think
before they lost their best center.
yes, and then they
So they
replaced him.
evened out at the center back spot. Great.
Yes, and I like the addition of Griezo. I also kind of didn't factor. Well, I guess it's not really a transfer window thing, but I really like that they moved on from Almeida. I think Almeida was just clearly not the right person for this team, and I like that they brought in Lucci. I think Lucci can be a really good coach for a team that has good players on it. I mean, I'm just looking at like the starting 11 that I had set up for them. I think we had the same starting 11. I like that starting 11. I think it's good. I think that is a starting 11 that could sneak into the playoffs. I really like that they improved in goal. I know Nathan was one of their better center backs, but bringing in Mensa is fantastic. Grazo to help the defense as well in front of them, I think will be a great addition. And I think the attack is already pretty strong. Christian Espinosa is a fantastic winger in the league. Jeremy Abobasi broke out last year and seems to have found a home here. And then obviously we know the upside of Cade Cowell. I think this team has what it needs to make the playoffs. My only thing with them is possibly if they're a little thin. I think they could probably use a little bit more attacking depth. But I like the starting 11. I like the coach change, and I'm on board to back them this season.
He had a 33% win percentage at FC Dallas when he was a coach there between 2018, I believe 2021 is when he was let go. Yeah. FC Dallas 2018 to 2021. How did they do? Hold, please. 2018, knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. 2019, knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. 2020, quarterfinals of COVID Cup. 2021, didn't qualify, finished 23rd overall in the table. And I think that
3 out of the
FC
4
Dallas
years they made the playoffs.
is that the. I don't know.
I didn't say San Jose was going to go win the cup. I just said I think they can make the playoffs. I think they have a strong roster. Even if you look on like, and I'm not saying that this shouldn't be like the metric that we use, but I think it can be maybe a guiding thing to look at. But I mean, if you look at like the value that their team has on transfer market, it's high. I mean, they're one of the most valued teams on transfer market. Because I think they have good players. They just didn't have a good system and a good coach. And maybe Lucci's not that. Maybe Lucci's not. I mean, I just think that
we need to relax on the transfer market thing because it has Jackson Ewell at $4 million. Anybody pays $4 million for Jackson Ewell, and I will never speak about football for the rest of my life.
Are you saying
Ever.
You would not pay $4 million for center back Jackson Ewell?
I wouldn't pay $4 for Jackson Ewell on my team.
That's a little harsh.
Yeah, it is. I was exaggerating, but they have Jackson Ewell at the same level of Jamiro Montero, Jeremy Abobasi, and more important or more valuable than Christian Espinoza. They have him equal with Carlos Gruezo as well. So I would relax when we talk about that. But No, like I said, I don't think it's a like awful team. I just don't know. So here's the thing. I know Cade Cowell has rumors to leave. I know Benji Kikanovic has rumors to leave. So if you lose both of those guys, you're looking at uh, Useni Buddha as your left winger, or you're looking at a shape change, which you need to teach.
Right.
There,
Yes. If they lose those guys, then yes, that would change things. But you're also just assuming that they're going to lose them and then just replace them with nobody. I don't I don't think at this point in the window they're going to lose them. If anything, they would lose them in the summer. But even then, I feel like they might sell them and then maybe just loan them back for the rest of the season, which I wouldn't be surprised to see.
I
Maybe
don't.
more so with Cade Cowell.
I
But
I think maybe. So here's what I'll say. I think maybe 11 from me is a bit low, but I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't.
well, that's why you didn't put them there.
Let's
Simple as
talk.
that.
Let's talk Colorado. You had them in the playoffs. I had them missing the playoffs by a significant margin. Talk to me about why.
I think the starting 11 is solid, and I think that they have really good depth at every position on the field, which I think I really like because then and there's always the next man up. And I know we had this issue with Columbus a couple of years ago where we hyped them up so much because they had, the second guy up in every position was like could start on a few other teams in MLS.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's necessarily the case here, but I like that they have someone who can step in, whether it's maybe there's an injury or someone's just not playing well. They didn't really lose a ton in the offseason. I mean, they lost Zardes, they lost Lucas Estevez, but I think that they brought in good players. Getting back Cole Bassett is good. Uh, Andreas Maxo, I think, will be great for the back line. Connor Ronan will also be a great addition. I like it. I think I like the depth. I think the starting 11 is good enough that they can make the playoffs. So I think they'll improve upon last season.
I like the depth, but I am worried about depths in certain areas. Right, Jack
You
Price
just
coming off.
don't like William Yarbrough.
Well, William Yarbrough has been replaced. They got the Belgian goalkeeper on loan. I don't know anything about him, and I can't tell you if he's going to be great or not. Uh, my worry, and I'll double check here because I thought he's coming. He's on loan. Um, 3 clean sheets in 17 games in the Belgian league so far. Um, Now, could he be the next best thing? Maybe. But my worry is less about that spot and more about their striker spot. We've talked about it a lot. Diego Rubio is great, but what happens when he goes cold? And this has been a problem for them for the last couple of years. In 2021, when they topped the West, that sounds about right? Yeah. When they topped the West in 2021, he never went cold. So they didn't have to worry about it. 2022, he went cold and they had nobody to step up and do it, and they missed out. I don't know if I don't know. I have a weird feeling. I agree with you. I think the starting 11 is okay. I like additions that they've made, but there are just certain parts here, especially with Colorado. Again, Colorado topped the West, and we both looked at each other and we said, "This is the worst number one seed in the last decade," and we weren't wrong. They snuck away with 1 point. You know, the half goals that turned into goals all fell their way in 2022. It did, and I don't think you get that lucky twice. I don't know. I've got a weird feeling. Now, here's what I would say is my prediction might change if they go out and they try and bring one more striker. Because I think Bassett's going to be good. Max can fill in after him. Ronan and Acosta are a good one too. Price and Priso are a good one too. Galvan and Barrios, Cabral and Lewis, Abubakar, Kaita, Maxo, Rosenberg. I mean, your starting 11's good. You're deep in important areas, except for the one that's going to matter. So I just have a weird.
Listen, yeah, I think you're being incredibly harsh on Colorado here. They
Oh,
finished
stop it! I
four
didn't
points.
ask.
They finished 4 points out of the playoffs last year. And one of their major issues was conceding 57 goals. They brought in a new center back, they brought in a new left back, and they brought in a new goalkeeper. They've addressed that. Not saying that 100% they'll come in and fix the problem, but they're attempting to. They've also brought players in to bolster other areas in the field, bringing back Cole Bassett, who we know can be successful in this league, bringing in an exciting attacking player like Connor Ronan as well to support Diego Rubio. I understand what you're saying. They are thin at the striker spot with Darren Yappy as the next man up. But Diego Rubio also had 16 goals and 7 assists last season. If you can get that output from him again, and then get some more help from other areas in the field, whether that's the wings, the cam spot, I think they're going to be okay, even if he goes a little colder.
You make a good point. I would also say that you talk about them giving 57 goals. They also only scored 46, which would have been if they made the playoffs, would have been the second least out of anybody in the playoffs, right, in that race. So they've got other issues to address. And I think that they didn't address all of them. Ronan's a 6'8", goalkeeper, center back, and they got Cabral, which
wait, hold on a second. You think Ronan's you think he would go down to a 6?
No,
I think he's like an 8.
So no, he's an 8, but his with Bassett, he's probably going to be the 8 that stays deeper. Bassett will be more the attacking option.
I forget how you had them lined up, but I would assume Jack Price would be the 6'8".
No. So Jack Price is a 6. Then you've got 2 in front of him. One acts as an 8. There are 2 8s. And one acts as an 8-10. He goes forward more frequently, and one acts as a 6'8". He's more of the linker between the two.
Okay, well, either way, then Cole Bassett is your improvement there.
Is he though?
It doesn't matter. We're spending too much time on this. Yes.
The next team we talk about is Sporting Kansas City. You have them out of the playoffs. I have them sneaking in. I made this very clear. I go, they didn't need to bring in a ton. They needed their DPs healthy, and they've got both of them healthy, plus improvements on top of them. So I think SKC gets back to the playoffs this year. Plain and simple.
I don't think we're as different on this one, to be honest. I mean, I have them just outside the playoffs, I think. Is it still just top 7 for playoffs?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I have them 8, so I have them like just outside. I just honestly I don't love the way the defense is set up. I don't know if they've brought in anybody else or if they're going to bring in anybody else, but I feel like that could be an area of concern for them. And I think the attack, I still have question marks on. Like, can Pulido stay healthy? Can Gadi Kinda stay healthy again? You know, obviously Willie Agada and Eric Tommy came on the scene and blew things up at the end of last season. Can they continue that form? You know, Shallowy and Russell were quiet last year. There's also very little depth on the wings. I see too many question marks, in my opinion.
So when I saw a lot of question marks with Colorado, it was, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about. But when you see question marks with SKC, it's like, oh, don't worry about it.
Colorado was 4 points out of the playoffs and brought in a bunch of new people to bolster their team.
SKC Kansas City played with one designated player last year. One.
You're assuming that they're just going to come back and go right back to designated player form.
I definitely do with the players that are around them. Absolutely.
We don't even know if Pulido's going to start.
Fine, let him ease his way in then. You're telling me Alan Pulido off the bench is a bad option?
It's not a bad option, but he's not going to you might as well have one less DP then if you're having the DP play on the bench.
What was Sporting Kansas City's last 5-game form? When they brought in Willie Agada, when they brought in Eric Tommy, and they let them cook, SKC was the hottest team in the league. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't know the last 5 games.
Well, you don't know anything.
Last 5 games. Lost lost to Dallas, beat Seattle, beat Minnesota, beat DC, and drew Houston. So
Yeah,
3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss.
exactly.
Yeah, and you beat
That
Minnesota and DC and Seattle.
yeah, but if they were a true bottom of the West, like bottom team that you're making them out to be, then
Oh, I
those
didn't put them at the bottom. I put them eighth. They were
no, you're
just
what
outside the
no 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 whoa,
playoffs.
whoa, freeze. What you're telling me is that because they were at the bottom, that they can't make this massive jump. There's always one team that goes bottom to top. You pick San Jose because you're insane. I picked SKC because I have a brain. Okay, that's where we're going with this.
I didn't pick SKC because they didn't change the team much. I know they're getting healthier, but I don't know what that's going to look like for them because they were out for most of last season. Yosef had a huge injury. He came back, and while he still was able to produce a bit, he was not the same Yosef.
I'm moving on because you're making me angry. Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Galaxy at 10.
Mm-hmm.
I've got them at 4, once again, because I have a brain. This team, I know they don't have a. Oh, sorry, this is a great place to bring it up. Um, they are linked with Marcelo. Yes, Real Madrid legend Marcelo is linked to LA Galaxy before the season starts. So, Araujo's gone. We know that. They finally forced, or Europa Lona finally flexed their muscles and forced their signing across the line like they do with everybody else that they ever want. Um, but they're already linked to a replacement right back. And if they get him across the line, which I think they will, because I think that's kind of what was holding it up was the whole Araujo situation. They couldn't move him on without the money from the sale. Um, there's that. You're telling me Ricky Puig and Gaston Brugman with Chicharito and Jovanovic are finishing 10th in the West.
So I mainly went off of it because I didn't like how the defense was shaping up to be. I did not
Don't care.
know that they were linked to a right back already. And you say don't care, but look at Toronto last season. They had a fantastic attack towards the end of the season, and they had no defense, and they were still not able to climb anywhere up the table. I mean, right now, because they don't have a right back signing across the line, they have Raheem Edwards, who's a winger made to be a left back.
Who
They
was the
don't
best left
have
back
they've
in the
held they've
stop it? No, I will not have
he
you
was not the
slander.
best left back in the league.
I will
He was
not
not
have
the
you
best.
slander. You will not start from 2022 talking about how good Raheem
You
Edwards
have the
was as a left
stats.
back.
He's great going
slander.
forward.
No,
He
no,
was
no.
not
You
great
will not do
defensively.
that. You will not start off and talk about how good he was in 2022 and then turn around and be like, oh, well, I want LA Galaxy to be 10th, so I'm going to talk about how bad he was. I won't have it.
No, I'm not
Garbage.
saying he's a bad player, but you have the numbers. You have the numbers. You could look at them. He was great going forward. He was not as great defensively. They don't. Kelvin Leardham's is right now slated as the right back, I would assume, and then it's Chris Mavinga, who wasn't great with Toronto last year, and Sega Koulibaly, who's fine, and Jonathan Bond. I don't love the defense, and I'm worried about how thin they are at striker. I don't know
How thin
exactly
they are at
how what.
striker. They've
Yeah,
got the
because the
guy.
way I had them set up, the way I had to wait. Let me talk. Let me talk.
Okay, Kevin,
I
go
had them
ahead.
playing two. I had them playing two strikers. So I have Chicharito and Jovanovic playing a striker. And then if one of them goes down, there's not another striker really to go in there except like Preston Jude.
Are you done?
Yeah.
All right. Here's how I think this changes now if they bring in that right back. They're going to go to a 3-back. They're going to go Koulibaly. They're going to go Neal, the guy who made his USMNT debut before he made his Galaxy debut. And they'll go Mavinga in a back 3. They'll push Raheem Edwards up to a left wing back spot, and whoever that right back comes in is going to fill that spot. Or it can be Calvin Leardham. He'll be fine there too. You'll go Brugman, Delgado, and Ricky Puig with Chicharito and Jovanovic up top. You tell me that team doesn't make a playoff push? Really?
They could, but you also have to factor in the fact that if somebody goes down with an injury, they probably can't replace them in the next window because they have the transfer ban.
Sure, but the transfer ban lasts
So they
like a
had
month.
to. Well, they had to bolster this team now. Whatever they set up this team for now is what it's going to be for the rest of the season. Unless, I mean, I don't know if they could do like homegrown signings and stuff like
And
that. I don't
that's
know if that counts as.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I actually didn't mean to cut you off there that time. The other times I did, not this time. The transfer ban is for anybody who needs an international visa. So they can still sign within the league. They can still sign homegrowns. They can sign anybody with American or a green card. So you can go inside the league and make a massive trade and still make your team better.
Look, I would probably move them up a little bit after our conversation on it.
After I
But
yelled at you.
I still don't love the team enough that I would put them fourth. I would definitely not put them fourth. I'd maybe have them on like the cusp of the playoffs, but just I obviously I think Ricky Puig is most likely going to have a very good season for this team with Chicharito as well. But my concern is that if somebody goes down, are they going to be able to replace them? Do they have the personnel to replace them? I'm a little concerned in that regard. And I don't love the defense.
You hurt me.
But I would probably bump them up. I think 10th is you're right. I think 10th is probably a little low for them.
Okay. I've had my cool down time. We're back to being friends.
He's meditated. He's just happy that I admitted he was right.
Correct. That's always a good way to get picked. Our top three are very, very similar. You had Portland at 3. I had them at 7. I like the Evander
Weren't you
signing.
the one in the offseason that said they had one position they needed to fill and that they literally knocked it out of the park with the signing that they needed to fill?
I did.
And then you have them in 7th?
I did. And then they sold their center back 2. Or they traded the center back 2.
They'll be fine. They just won't go with a 3 center back.
I don't disagree with you. I think there are teams better than them. I just wasn't happy that they got rid of Tuoloma. I liked it. So, and both of those center backs now that are 1 and 2 have injury history from last year. Just doesn't give me a warm fuzzy, you know.
Because you're a hater.
Okay. Shall we go back to the East?
Yeah. Why don't you kick us off for this one this time?
Sure. This is gonna hurt. I hate starting off this way. Let me see if I can convince myself not to do it. No, I can't do it. At 15, I'm putting Chicago. My boys. I got Montreal at 14. I got New York City at 13. I got Columbus at 12, Miami at 11, Atlanta at 10, DC United at 9, Charlotte at 8. Then in the playoffs, I got New England at 7, Toronto at 6, FC Cincinnati at 5, Nashville at 4, Philly at 3, Red Bull at 2, and Orlando at 1.
You're out of your mind. You put Red Bull above Philly? Are you
dang
insane?
right I did. This is the year, baby.
Good Lord. You criticized me for putting San Jose 6th. All right. Let me know when you're ready and I'll read off mine.
I'm ready, baby.
All right. I got Chicago at 15. I've got Montreal at 14.
Nice.
I got DC at 13. I've got Charlotte at 12. NYC at 11. Atlanta at 10. Columbus at 9. Miami at 8. New England at 7. Red Bull at 6. Nashville at 5. FCC at 4. Toronto at 3. Orlando at 2. And Philly at 1.
That's not nearly as far off as you made it sound.
I
I
didn't
thought you
did
were.
I insinuate that we were far off? I didn't think we were that far off, honestly. We
I
have a couple
you
that are
made
different, but
you made me feel like I was dumb, which I
well,
never do.
you're
Which I
insane for
never
putting
do to
Red
you.
Bull. You're insane for putting Philly at third. Like
I
I think you're
never, ever,
absolutely
ever
insane for that.
have made you feel dumb on this podcast, and
Yeah,
you
never, never.
never,
Just don't cut
never,
back to
not
15
once
minutes
ever.
ago.
And you
Don't
came out and
don't
did
cut
that.
back to 15 minutes ago.
Oh man. Um. So we're bang on for 1 and 2. Great. Um. The first big change I think is you've got DC at 13. I've got them at 9. I know that
I
we
think we
have
knew we were going to
disagreed.
differentiate on this. Yeah.
We've disagreed on this, and
Yeah.
I think that they will find their form late, but I think they find it. So here's my other thing too, by the way. And it didn't affect your predictions, but when I was watching back the clips from the episode where we talked about all the transfers, and you were sitting there talking about how much you loved the signing of Ashley Westwood, and then the very next episode you came back and was like, "Oh, I don't know if Matthias Click will do the job." Two of the same players from the same league in the same position, and you just didn't like one because they play for DC. Hater, which I'm okay with. Hate DC all you want, but like, don't do that. Don't be like. Um, I don't think they're getting in the playoffs. I agree with you in that sense, but I think they have a better year. Like, I think they make a bigger jump than just a couple of spots up the standings. I think this is uh going to be a pretty. I think it's gonna be a fun team to watch personally. Um, Curious as to some of the ways that they'll line up, but I think they'll be a fun team to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I think I made this clear in the transfer video that I really do not like the way that Rooney built this team. I I don't understand it. He brought in a bunch of players that are win now, and I don't think he brought in the quality of players to make this a win now competitive team. I mean, like Click's wrong side of 30, Santos is wrong side of 30. Pretty sure Williams is like almost 30. Tyler Miller's, I think, pretty close to 30. Ruan's 27, but he's coming off a bad year. The only signing that I liked was Mahana G's. Um, but yeah, I didn't like the signings that he brought in. I obviously this team was the worst team in the league, I think, last year. I'm pretty sure. So I don't see them moving up much. I think they had a couple of good signings, so I think they'll move up a little. But yeah, I don't like the way that Rooney has built this team. Maybe listen, maybe it works for his system and how he wants to play, and I will absolutely eat my words on it if he ends up doing well with the players he brought in. But I'm not a fan of it on paper.
Interesting. Talk to me about them. Why you put Charlotte so low after talking about really enjoying their signing of Ashley Westwood.
Listen, I went off of the ratings that I saw him getting when he was playing with Burnley, and they were playing like for years in the Prem. I think Click had, I don't know his whole history, but I think it was 2 years in the Prem. So I don't think he had as much of a sample size, and Click wasn't really playing a ton when before he moved. But I honestly, I think they obviously Capetti is a fantastic signing for them, and I think he'll be able to slide in and make a big difference for them. And I like the addition of Westwood. Obviously, the injury is a question mark. I just don't love the team around them. Um, I'm glad that they're willing to kind of move on from players from year one and not get stuck in the FCC loop. But I look at a couple of guys that I have in my starting lineup, and I'm not overly wowed. Like I'm not overly wowed with Brant Bronico or Nathan Byrne or Joseph Mora. So I'm not really sure how much they're bringing to the table. Like I think I didn't hear much about Juzwiak last season, much. And obviously, like I think we have high expectations for Capetti, but we haven't seen him play a minute in the league yet. So I think I'm not super high on them. I think they'll kind of sit around the same area that they were last year.
Interesting. I think this is a team that's going to push for the playoffs. I don't think they're getting in personally, um, strictly because of the difficulties that will be caused by formational shape. They've got two very good strikers. They want to play with wings. They've got deep midfield. You're going to have to sit some good players. And because of that, I don't, I think they're going to have too many games. Let me rephrase that. They're going to have just one too many games where they're going to get it wrong and they're going to lose points because of it. That'll keep them out. However, I do think they're making a step in the right direction. Now, the one thing that I would concede about maybe dropping this down a little bit is how bad that Corujo injury is, how long he'll be out, because he was massive for them last year, as well as a Kalina injury. Both of those guys are a big part of their team last year, and I didn't see how long they were going to be out. So I definitely could see this team finishing where you have them, and I will agree with you there. I just don't know if those injuries are not super long term. I think we'll be okay. But
I mean, ninth to 12th in the West, just to give some context, was separated by 3 points last year. So it is very easy to move like 4 spots with like one game.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that could be the difference of one game. Absolutely. Um, Next up, Miami. I had them deep down at 11. You had them up at 8. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know that I'm higher on Miami than I think you are. I just really like the way that they're building this team, and maybe it's because they set the bar so low at the start because they built this like a 2015 MLS team at the start, just going to find some big name 35-year-old player to bring into the team to just jog around the field for 90 minutes, or not even 90, probably like 60 minutes, and then get subbed off and make $1 million+ a year. But I really like the way that they've kind of turned things around. They have a really blossoming good youth academy. I think they're getting a lot of good young players to come through. It's just a matter of, them kind of working their way into the rotation now. I liked the signings that they brought in this offseason. I think they brought in a lot of good players that have a few years ahead of them. They're not on their way to retirement. Guys that can come in and make a difference now, like Josef, like Stefanelli, like Kristav, and Franco Negri. So I think this team is absolutely moving in the right direction. They were a playoff team last year. I just think that other teams got a little bit stronger that were around them. So that's kind of why I have them like slightly lower. But I think this team is absolutely moving in the right direction. And I think will be, if they can keep their personnel around, I think they'll be competitive for a couple years moving forward if they keep moving in this right direction.
I gotta be honest with you. I think one of the things that gets me is it's a little thin at key areas in the way that I have them line up. There's no backup 10. There's no backup number 8. One of the 3 number 8s that they have there. Their center backs are a little bit untested. Mabika only has a couple of games to his fix my hair there. Couple of games to his career. Kristov is going to come in and be okay. Yedlin will be okay. Negri needs to learn the league. You could probably have McVeigh in there as well. I don't know. I don't know what the Martinez and Campagna partnership is going to look like. I mean, we talked about it last episode where they're both really used to being one striker guys. I mean, Campagna's played 2 striker a little bit more frequently, but how will they get on together? That's the big question. And yeah, I another one that just kind of doesn't give me the good warm fuzzy.
Oh, sure. But when a team doesn't give me the warm, good fuzzy, then all of a sudden I'm an idiot.
Correct, but we knew that already. Let's talk about Columbus. I got them at 12. You got them at 9. I'll say for me, don't love their center back situation. I've never been a Josh Williams fan, not once since I've started watching this league. Um, they're young at left back with Will Sands. Aiden Morris will be good. Nagby will be good. Zelarayan will be good. Their wing position is dreadful, to keep it simple. None of their wingers have shown up and been the guy except for Kevin Molino 4 years ago before he got hurt. and that's an exaggeration. I know it wasn't 4 years ago, but you know what I mean. Yeah, there's a lot of this team I don't like. Dejanek was not the center back I thought he'd be when he came in, and I don't know if it was just the first year jitters or what have you. Um, and the guys to replace them are homegrowns. They're also untested. So that center back problem, and when you got bad center backs in this league, you got a bad team. Now, I'm not saying Dejanek and Williams are bad, but I'm not a big fan of them. And then yeah, like I said, the wingers, you've got Yayaboa, who was their best of a bad group last year. You let go of Derek Etienne Jr., never really replaced him. You got 20-year-old Matan, Kevin Molino coming back, never really got going after that injury. Diaz is out there, and then another homegrown. So you're not surrounding your best players with more best players. So I'm kind of worried. There has been rumors that they'll shift to a 3-5-2, throw Morera as a center back, Sands advanced, and maybe Yaboa or Diaz advanced with the same midfield three, and then go Cucho Ramirez. I don't think that's getting the best of their players. I think Morera needs to be wide so he can get touches in the attacking third. Um, just a lot here that I'm not a fan of.
No, I hear you. That's the reason I think I have them out of the playoffs as well. That
Mm-hmm.
defense is not looking great, especially when you lost Jonathan Mensah this close to the start of the season. I don't I mean I'm sure Columbus fans probably have more context on that one, but I don't get it. Um, but I just feel like their star power is strong enough that it can carry them into a playoff fight. I mean, I think Cucho has the potential to be Golden Boot winner. We know Zelleround has the potential to be an MVP in this league. I think there are other guys in this team as well that can support them. Obviously, Nagby's one of the best midfielders in this league. Aiden Morse has massive potential and can be a fantastic partner for Nagby this season. Steven Moreira is a fantastic fullback as well. Eloy Room, we've seen him be a very good goalkeeper in this league as well. So I think there are good players. There are weak positions as well. And I think that balance is what keeps, in my opinion, keeps them around the playoff hunt, but out of the playoffs.
No disagreement. I mean, some disagreements, but they're in the same spot for both of us out. So
Yeah, did
we
we have
move
the
on.
same playoff teams? Did we have the exact same seven?
I
Not the
think
order, but
so.
the same
Yeah, I
teams.
think I think so. The only real difference we both had New England in, both had Toronto, both had Red Bull, both had FCC, Philly, Nashville, Orlando. Yeah. So
Go
let's just
team.
talk about some of the main differences here. I put Red Bull at 2. You put them low. Why? Why are you a hater?
um, the defense, I feel like I have a little bit of question marks on. I don't. I'm not a huge Andres Reyes guy, and especially with his like disciplinary record, you could see him out. I mean, 2, 3 games easily from red cards, and the next man up is either like Hassan and Dom, who has very little experience, or Matthew Masita, who I know you talked about before, is like a behemoth 6'7" center back, but again, also untested in the league. And then Kyle Duncan, who you could probably speak on it more than I can, but I feel like he was not the same Kyle Duncan when he came back. I think the attack will be good. Obviously, Lewis Morgan was a fantastic addition. Christian Cáceres, I think, will be another strong year from him. Hopefully, Luquinhas really like settles in this season, and then obviously Dante is a big signing up top, and we'll see what he can bring to the table. I definitely think it's a playoff team. I think they could even move up past 6, but I have a little bit of question marks in the back line, and then I also don't love Drew Yearwood in the midfield spot. I mean, that's who I have starting. Obviously, you could swap him out for like Frankie Amaya, but um, yeah, I just think it's competitive with the other teams that are in the playoffs in the East, and I think those like small things there just drop them a little bit more for me.
Yeah, listen, this is I actually at first I had him at the top, and I'm like, I can't jinx us like that, so I'm gonna flip flop it. But I think what's going to save Nealis and Reyes, and I agree with you. I think they're not the strongest that we've ever had. One Coronel behind them is going to be great, but Dan Edelman's about to have a breakout year. You can flop Yearwood for Amaya or Caceres, and zero drop off. I like Yearwood in there too, by the way. He makes a wrong decision a little bit more often than I'd like, but he'll be fine. Again, Lewis Morgan, Luquinhas up top, but you've also got this idea that you can play Serge Goma playing at the on the right side. I mean, he was phenomenal in a very small window last year and got hurt. If he can stay healthy, he'll be great. The year of Omir, of course, is still in the mix, and we know Gerard loves him as a second striker. I mean, there are a bunch of different ways this team can line up. John Tolkien's still going to be all over the pitch. And then you've got three brand new strikers, all three of which were improvements over what we had last year. So it is a team that has a ton of promise with a coach that knows what he's doing. Kyle Duncan is going to be better this year. He came in after not playing a game for like 4 months and just got thrown into a starting 11. So you're obviously not going to be great when you do that. He had a full preseason to get this done and to work with it. I think he will be much, much better than what he was last year. Nealis is going to be okay. Reyes is, I think, making strides to be better than he was. I've got high hopes, and I think I'm doing this so that I can like hate myself later because I've every year I put them out of the playoffs and they've made it. So now I put them in second, they'll finish in 10th, right?
I'm here for it.
The other big one, Toronto for you at 3. Why?
Yeah, I almost had Toronto at 2, honestly. Um, I don't think it's that far of a shout to figure out why. I mean, their attack alone is good enough to put them in 3, let alone arguably a 1. Lorenzo Insigne and Bernadeschi came in last season in a small sample size and tore it up while they were here. Now they have a whole offseason to build chemistry with the team. They got a little bit of a taste of how the league plays, what works well, what doesn't. I think those two are going to tear up the league this year. So I think that will carry them a lot, while I think the defense kind of works out their kinks and starts to build good chemistry back there. Because I think they have good players to bolster a strong defense, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time considering if you include a back 4 and the goalkeeper, 4 out of the 5 are new based on who I have starting for them. 4 out of the 5 are new players to the team. So it's probably going to take some time to figure out how to play with one another and figure out what's the right rotation to play with. And then obviously there are still like a couple question marks. That's why I dropped them down to 3 and didn't have them higher. The midfield definitely being one of them. They're thin. They're going to rely on Michael Bradley to be a starter. I don't think that's the end of the world, but they don't really have anybody to replace him or to like swap him out to give him like a minute's rest or whatever. So I think that there's a lot of talent here that will carry them in the attack. But I still think there are a few things to work out if they're going to challenge for Philly for like the top of the East.
So I agree with you that attack is going to do great things. It's going to get them into the playoffs, no problem. But once again, I must remind you that they are planning on playing Michael Bradley for 3,000 minutes this season. They are planning on playing Jonathan Osorio and Mark Anthony Kaye for 3,000 minutes this season with no breaks, no rest, no nothing. That means for U.S. Open Cup. That means for Leagues Cup. That means every game they're going to play. These guys are going to hit 4,000, 4,500 minutes this year. The way that this team lines up. That's disgusting. By the
That's
time
also assuming they do nothing in the mid window.
Correct. They're correct. They can still bring in people, but we're not making predictions off of what could happen, right? So right now, the way that we're making this prediction, this team is planning on playing all 40 whatever games that they're going to play this year with 4 midfielders, one of them being 35-year-old Victor Vasquez. It's just not a recipe for success. I agree. I think that their attack will save them and bring them wherever I think they will get into the playoffs. But this is going to be like a last day of the season sneak in on a decision day type of team right now. Now, Come back to me in a month when the transfer window closes and they've got 3 or 4 more center mids as depth, and we'll talk about it. But right now, I can't put them.
I think that's a hot take to say that they're just going to sneak into the playoffs. You also have to remember that they have a tried and tested great coach on this team who got to build the team that he wanted. I think that's another factor that's going to help them a ton.
Here's the thing. If you're going to tell me that your tried and trusted, experienced coach wants to build a team with 3 midfielders for 40 games, I think that coach is out of his mind. I don't care what his history is.
I would imagine they probably have something in the works to get somebody else to mix into the midfield. I highly doubt that they're going to rock with these 4 for the whole season.
All I'm saying is I'm not making predictions based off of imagination. And lastly, you put Philly up top again. I just think it's time for somebody else to take over Philly. I think there's part of me that made this like out of spite. Like I'm just tired of them doing it. I mean, listen, they've got all these players coming back and they're going to be great. We know they will, but something about me is saying like, oh, Martinez is going to take a step down. Gazdag can't repeat that. There's something there that isn't going to happen again. Ali Bedoya regresses significantly. I don't know, but something there is not going to happen simply because I'm tired of watching Philly top the East every year.
Well, you're just going to have to get used to it. I don't know what to tell you. There was one team that challenged Philly last year in points, and that was Montreal, and they gutted their team.
Philly but Red Bull got better. Orlando got better.
And Philly lost nobody, and they bolstered their depth. They brought in Andres Perea. They brought in Damian Lowe. They brought in Joaquin Torres.
I don't think Joaquin
and
Torres
we already know that. We already know their start. Well, yeah, I have no idea where he's going to fit, but he's a talented player, and if anybody can get something out of him, it's probably Jim Curtin. But starting 11 has not changed. This is a team that's gone. Are they back to back top of the East at this point?
No, New England won in 21.
Oh yeah, you're right. But they were second.
Yeah, like I said, I don't care if they finished second or third.
First. They were first, second, first, and now having lost nobody, they're going to drop down to third.
Just a reminder that Red Bull
added
top of the East all the time. Red Bull
the same Dante that you told me is coming halfway into in the season.
A third.
Okay, so you have to play a third of the season without your
with Elias Manuel. That's not a bad drop off.
It's not, but anyway, is it enough to dethrone Philly?
Yes, it is, and it's because I believe. Yeah, I watched Ted Lasso this past week, like all the way through. If you believe, you can achieve. So,
I believe you're insane.
Let's move on to awards predictions before we start talking about Red Bull for the next 3 hours. Because I will, if you want me to, I can do it.
I can't say I do want you to do that.
All right, I want to know who you got as a pick for your MVP. We're gonna go down the list. You give me yours, I'll give you mine. Maybe we talk about it.
Good. I will give you the most boring answer for MVP. I've gone for Lorenzo Insigne.
Ew. I have gone with Ricky Puig. We mentioned this earlier. We mentioned that if he gets all the players around him, which he's getting, he is going to put up MVP numbers, and I think that he does that. Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh my! I thought we were rotating.
No. You go first. I'll go second.
I'm going for a little fullback love this season. Give me Kai Wagner.
Ew, you hater.
It's about time a fullback wins Defensive Player of the Year. It's always the center back.
Kemar Lawrence was robbed. 100% agree. 2018, Kemar Lawrence was the best fullback, best defender in MLS that year.
Kai Wagner's going out on top with Defensive Player of the Year.
This pick coincides with my standings predictions. I've got Vincent Janssen from Orlando because that Orlando team is very good going forward, but they're not dethroning Philly.
Pause. You said Vincent Janssen. Oh, no, sorry. I didn't mean pause like that.
You scared me for a second.
Janssen, the former Spurs striker. I think you meant Robin Janssen.
Yes, that's exactly who I meant. See, I'm glad you're on your toes. I was testing you. Um,
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
so I will have you know that Connor sprung this episode on me like 10 minutes ago, and I had to really work to put this all together. So mistakes will happen on a very professional podcast.
Of course.
But yeah, that goes with my standings predictions. I think if Orlando win, it's because Janssen goes off. Um, Young Player of the Year.
Oh, I didn't do that one. Nice. Well, you can go with yours.
I guess I'll go first then. My Young Player of the Year, Diego Luna out of RSL. I think he blows up, um, and has one heck of a season this year.
I'm gonna flip through my things really quick. Gotta find somebody. Panicking.
Does Joseph
Who am I gonna
Martinez
find?
count?
How young do they have to be again? Is it under 23?
U22, I think,
U22.
or
Good thing I
22 in youth.
don't have any ages in here.
Man, sucks for you.
Come back to me on this one. I'll say it before the end of the episode.
Okay, stay tuned for Connor's pick. Goalkeeper of the Year.
I went with Daniel for San Jose in line with that.
I hate you so much. You are
Listen,
the
if San Jose are
worst.
going to shoot up to 6, like my prediction, somebody's got to step up for them. Why not the guy
Um,
that got 20 clean sheets in Brazil?
if Austin FC are going to top the West, it's going to be because Brad Stuver wins Goalkeeper of the Year playing out of his skin.
I don't think he's going to have to play out of his skin. I think they have a good defense in front of them.
Shh. Comeback Player of the Year.
I have to check who I have for that. Oh, I have Damir Krylak for that one.
I like that. That's a good one. I picked Rodolfo Pizarro from Miami. I think coming back from loan, not being here 2 years, I think he has a great year and he wins that award.
I like that one too. That's a good shout.
Coach of the Year.
I go with Josh Wolf.
Oh, now you want to copy me. Now you want to be right.
What do you mean? I have Austin at the top of the West.
I
And Jim
also
Curtin. Jim Curtin got his award. It's Josh Wolf's time.
I also picked Josh Wolf from Austin. I think I think he goes off and does really good things. So newcomer of the year.
I went with Georgios Giacomakis
You're
for Atlanta. Why do you hate me?
I don't like that pick. I picked
Well,
Enzo
because you're a
Capetti.
hater.
I picked Enzo Capetti from Charlotte.
You
I think
hate
I
my
picked.
pick, but you went with Enzo Capetti, and I don't. I'm not saying you're wrong, but like you hate my pick.
Well, I just don't like you. So anything you do,
Okay.
no.
It adds up now.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, that's who I went. I think I picked Swiderski last year. So, or no, I picked Ferreira
I
last
think
year.
I
You
picked Swiderski
Yeah.
also.
Okay. Golden Boot.
All right. So I went with Andrew's suggestion. I went with the wacky wild pick. All right. It's 99% not going to happen. But I went with Erkin Kara for Golden Boot.
I like that. I'm here for it.
I
I'm
like
here.
Orlando's attack. I think they have a ton of really good attackers behind him. I think he's going to be finishing chances all day long for Orlando. It's just a matter of if he gets the game time because it was kind of like
Split.
spotty if he was getting a full like 90 or not.
I want you when that happens at the end of this year. I want you to come back and thank because I made you do it.
Okay. And when he doesn't play, it gets replaced by Ramiro Enrique, then I'll come back and I'll punch you.
My Golden Boot. I got Willie Agata. I think Willie Agata is. I think SKC go split two strikers up top. So I think him and Pulido are going to combine off. And I think because he's younger and not injured, I think he's doing the running behind, and he's scoring the goals. So I got Willie Agata from SKC winning Golden Boot.
It's kind of bold.
And
I think it's tough to win Golden Boot with the two striker formation.
I agree, but I mean, listen, how many midfielders have won Golden Boot recently? Like it might not even be a striker.
That's totally fair. I did almost have my other pick that I was going to go with before Carl was Dreesy. So
I also had Dreesy first. I'm like, no, too easy. And then I went
yeah, it
Insigne.
is.
I'm like, no, too
It's
easy.
too
I don't like
easy.
that one either.
We need to get the angry views.
Yeah, Golden Glove.
I went with Andre Blake,
He's still a loser.
but he wins it like almost every year.
Coinciding with the Austin pick, I got Brad Stuver there again. I doubled up. So I need your young player of the year before we move on to our final section.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Tyus Magno for young player of the year.
You're just here to piss me.
Listen, if I pick any NYC player, you're gonna be upset. It
You're
doesn't
right.
matter. Tyus Magno easily could be in the running for this.
Okay.
Okay.
Bold predictions. I want you to give me your first one.
We've actually covered all of mine already, but my first one was San Jose making the playoffs. I'm back and I'm behind it.
For the TikTok viewers who haven't seen the whole episode, say it with your chest.
Okay. My bold prediction is I think San Jose can make the playoffs this year.
Mine are all player specific. None of them are team specific. So first one, bold prediction. Josef Martinez does not score more than 7 goals this year.
Is that because he's not playing, or you just think he won't do well?
I'm not making that specific. It's broad. He's just not going to do it. Your second one.
My second one is Eric Kara wins Golden Boot.
My second one, Jim Curtin doesn't make it the full season. He leaves to take the USMNT assistant job.
I was so close to saying the exact same thing, to saying that I think Jim Curtin leaves at the end of the season. But the only thing that was holding me back is I feel like it's a little too early for him to take the job. I feel like he's going to try to do it closer to when the World Cup is.
Nice. Your last one.
Bold prediction 3, in line with bold prediction 1. Daniel wins goalkeeper of the year in his first season.
I don't like any of your picks. Mine are so much more fun. My last
San
one.
Jose in the playoffs. How do you get more fun than that?
My last one. Diego Luna is top 5 in goals and assist contributions this year, like combined.
So you probably have him like in the MVP conversation at the end of the year.
We didn't do the whole like honorable mention thing like we did last year, did we?
Because we scrambled to put it together.
Yeah. Maybe we put out a tweet or something like, "Oh, here are our top 5." But
we could do a mid-season. We can revisit.
We could do a whole bunch of stuff. But you guys gotta
do whatever we want. It's our podcast.
Follow and stick around. You gotta see what happens, see how it goes. So, any more bold predictions you got?
No, I just went with the 3.
I had one other one that I think it was a little too bold, but I said I put one that was New York City aren't able to get any new players in and have to play the 15-year-old Cam Carrizo for 1,500 minutes this year.
1,500 minutes. That's crazy.
That's why I took it off. I was like, I can't. That's a little bit too much.
Yeah, that's a little too crazy, I think.
That's a little out there. But yeah, let us know some of your bold predictions, guys, if you made it this far. Let us know what you think are some crazy things that are not so crazy and might actually happen. Thanks so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcast so you know when episode 142 goes live, which will be St. Louis episode, maybe an interview. We're about to go line up some interviews too. So make sure you are following us so you know when those goes live. And follow us on all forms of social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. So you can see all of our clips and interact with us there. But other than that, I got nothing else to add. You got something else to add?
I got nothing else to add.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys for listening and watching wherever you are, and we hope you're having a great day, and we will talk to you on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.